Hi, everybody, and welcome to Just Talking. I'm Gwenda Lambert. I'm a certified NLP, which is a neuro-linguistic programming coach practitioner. And my main focus is as an advanced grief recovery specialist with the Grief Recovery Institute. And
I'm Aisha Dami Magueda. I am a certified coach here in Toronto as well. And my focus is purposeful communication. I'm also a DEI strategist. I help people and organizations use purposeful communication to get where they want to go, to get their goals, and to also understand what is the language and the interactions that they're using that get in the way. So we're happy to be with you here on Just Talking. There you go. Love it. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here with us today. So as you know, this month, January, is the month where we are talking about letting go. It is a very appropriate time to be talking about it. A lot of people have come into the new year with ideas of how they want to be going forward, what they want to do. So it's a great time to really think about what are the things I need to release in my life. And so I'm going to talk about two things today. So Gwen did an amazing job last week taking the lead on letting go and emotions, because the first step in letting go is to really understand the context of our emotions, what we're feeling, how we're feeling about what's happening, and how we're feeling about the process of letting go. We might be in transition. We might not be ready to let go. There are all kinds of things that are happening. And so it's really important to have that context of emotions when we start thinking about the things that we want to let go. So I'm going to talk a little bit more today, and Gwen is going to help me out. We're going to talk about the language of letting go. So there are two things I want to talk about with you today, and that one is your self-talk, and then the other is your discussion with others. So last time in the comments, someone mentioned that they had this wonderful deck, which I also have, which is the language of letting go. It's an amazing little deck, and I'll be using some of the cards today to talk about some of the aspects of the language of letting go. And someone had asked the question about other people's energies and how to let go when people are imposing themselves on you. So we're going to talk about that shortly. But first of all, I want to talk about the self-talk. So the most important thing, as any coach will tell you, that the most important thing about making change is your mindset and the language of self-talk that you're using for yourself, right? So if your mindset is one that is actively enmeshed in a situation, if you feel helpless, if you feel like you don't have any power, if you feel like you have no place to go, then the way that you talk to yourself is going to reflect that. You're going to keep yourself kind of stuck in place. You're not going to be able, you might have the best intention of letting go, but if you don't see a way out, it's going to get hard for you to actually start making those steps or make a plan to do that. What do you think, Gwen? Have you ever experienced that in your life?
well, absolutely. I think we touched about it last week, that the importance of questions and the kinds of questions we ask ourselves is really going to show whether we victimize ourselves or whether we empower ourselves, right? So
that's right. Yeah.
Like, again, that awareness of emotion, and then saying, is this really what I feel? Is this really what I believe? Actually, is the better question. Is this really what I believe? And so you can actually have that ongoing conversation out loud, as I do often, or in your head. But that's for a whole other show. Does talking to yourself mean you're crazy? Anyway, so yes, I totally agree with that. Again, I'm very excited about today, because I remember the most transformational times for me was when I started paying attention to what I said when something happened. And so that's the difference between owning a situation and being a victim of a situation. So that's my 2 cents there.
Yeah, 100%. And I love what you're talking about in terms of, first of all, talking to yourself, because it's underrated and it's definitely not done enough. Even really things like just knowing, like, to continuously be talking to yourself. And It's not crazy, because actually you're always having an internal dialogue. Your internal dialogue never stops. So sometimes what you want to do is you want to get out of here and you want to bring it out so you can actually look at it and say, what is the truth in this? Is there any truth in this? Right. So I love some of the cards that are here in the language of letting go deck are around things like that. So this one is loving myself unconditionally. So if you're in your head telling yourself, I don't have a way out, this, I'm powerless to do so, I don't feel good about the situation, but there's nothing I can do. Here, you've got that opportunity to say, today I will work at loving myself unconditionally. My higher power, please help me let go of self-loathing and other unproductive behaviors. Sometimes we don't even know what we're inflicting on ourselves, and it could be so ingrained because it's something that's come from our childhood, it's come from our previous experiences, and to a degree, it served us. It was in our energy because we needed to protect ourselves, and that's the way we did it, but we didn't realize how damaging that actually was, right? So please help me to let go of loathing and other unproductive behaviors. Today, I want to hold myself in high self-esteem. I know I can do so with your help. And the idea isn't to focus on um, the negative aspects. So you don't want to, what you don't want, where you don't want to direct your focus is, I want to let go of self-loathing. I want to let go of self-love. I want to let go of low self-esteem. What you want to do is you want to say, I want to hold myself in higher esteem. I
Nice.
want to take care of myself, right? And that's how you gently make that shift, because we all know the saying, where your attention goes, your energy flows. So if you're putting the positive language out there, and Gwen and I, we talk about toxic positivity all the time. It's not about trying to keep yourself up or being, quote unquote, perfect, because we know that perfection is useless and bullshit. So we're not talking about that. We're talking about actually using language that is affirming and that's empowering, rather than focusing on something that focuses on an imperfection or something that we would like to shift. So that's another one here, accepting my imperfections. That's this card, accepting my imperfections. Today, I will tell myself who I am is okay, and that what I'm doing is good enough. And of course, I make mistakes and get off track sometimes, because we all do that. But that doesn't mean I'm not as good as everyone else. No one is perfect, and that's just fine. Gwen, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, the one thing is that really stuck out to me is, like, in the tarot, when you're getting a tarot reading, it can be self-prophesizing. So the
Mhm.
way we talk to ourselves, like whenever we look at something, and that's whether it's outside of us or inside of us, are we phrasing it present tense, as you said, like, I'm accepting myself? So there's a difference between going, I may not be the best at that yet, but I'm still trying, instead of saying something like, oh yeah, that runs in my family.
Mhm.
So those
Yep.
two things is assuming, as you know, it may seem like an innocent turn of words, but when you're saying something, when you're saying something that is not having you in the present tense of saying, I love having all the right words at all the right times. So that's one of my things. Sometimes I say the wrong things. I say it in the wrong way. I don't beat myself up for it anymore. I just say, okay, next time I'll do better. Right. So it's about acknowledging that you are somewhere, and then being able to phrase that next step as not something because you've failed. It's something that you're still working on. So that's my 2 cents there. But yeah, love that. Love that.
Beautiful. And I love what you said, because one of the really important things is that we and I include myself in this, is that we often have this mentality that we only have one shot.
Yeah.
We only have one shot to say something. We have only one opportunity to get everything out, right? And it's not true. In fact, uh, your first conversation is usually kind of like the get all the crap out of the way, like get all the messiness, kind of start getting the messiness out of the way, so that you can facilitate having the next conversation. So if the first time, whether you're talking to yourself or you're talking to someone else, the first time it's not going to be perfect, and you can't expect it to be perfect, and you can't control everything. So it's also about letting go of the things that you can't control and being able to be better equipped to be resilient and to be able to flow through it. And like Gwen said, like, don't be hard on yourself. Like, just um, understand that that imperfection exists in everyone. The person that you're talking to is also not perfect. And so there's also that kind of visionary aspect of, okay, they're not perfect. I'm not perfect. This conversation is not going to be perfect, but let me go forward with intention
Mhm.
and attention, and let me try and stick to what my purpose is in this particular conversation, right? So that's really important. And going back to touching on what we were talking about with emotions last week, let's also talk about what happens when we try and exert too much control over things because we're afraid of the emotional response that's happening. So here you've got a great card, which is allowing things to happen,
Mhm.
allowing things to happen. Okay, today I will let things happen without worrying about the significance of each event. I will trust that this will bring about my growth faster than running around with a microscope. Now think about that. That's a great image, right?
Mhm.
I will have faith that my lessons will reveal themselves in their own time. And I think that's really powerful because same as that one shot thinking that you only have one shot, you only have one shot. It's also putting undue significance on events that are happening uh, at any given time. So when you're in the process of letting go or choosing to let go or deciding what you want to do or putting down your path, you might, if you aren't clear about what you want the end result to be, how you want to feel, what you actually want, then anytime something happens, your path is going to shift, and then it's going to shift again, and then you're going to react again, and then you're going to move again, and that really ends up with you going around in circles, right? So what you want to do is you want to cultivate this mindset of let me flow, let me allow things to unfold, and let me see where they go. And if you need to make a shift in whatever you're planning, you can do that because you're better grounded in that flow of events than if you're kind of, you don't have a route and you're just kind of going with everything that's happening, right? Gwen?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think again, the other thing is, and one thing that I found, because God knows I'm not the best communicator. That's why I'm the emotions and she's the talking. She's got the great words. It doesn't mean that I don't have good words. That this is the other thing about partnership, right? Is that I think we complement each other because
Mm-hmm.
a really succinct way of putting things, whereas I sometimes can pick up on feelings. Doesn't mean that either of us don't have some of those other skills. But one of the most profound changing things that I have found through my life has been, okay, as you said, here's my goal. It's like the plane that's going to Hawaii. It never takes just a straight line because the wind can knock it off. You start a
Uh-huh.
business, there's 12,000 technical things you can do. Well, if you go down that technical rabbit hole, you're never going to come back out and you're never going to actually get going. So what is my intention? My intention is to get X, Y, and Z to be able to communicate and help people. Okay, so you can't pay other people to do it. When you're getting involved in these little minutiae, you need to be able to, okay, am I spending too much time on this presently and go, okay, this isn't serving me. I'm going to go and at least do one thing that's moving me in the direction that I want, even if that is, I'm trying to perfect some minor technological whatever, or say you're just learning to talk to yourself in a positive manner. Getting to that point where you know that finally MailChimp is easy for you, or getting to that point where something goes wrong, and this is the important part, and you go, okay, I didn't do that perfectly this time, next time I'll do better. And when we've talked about it in various places, is that when we're in the middle of transformation, when we're moving from caterpillar to butterfly, you're liquid. So you're not always going to be able to come out with a perfect form because your form is not yet set. It's more important to say, oh, I want to be able to fly. Oh, I love that. That's really powerful, right? To be able to go from the caterpillar to being able to fly, you need to have faith, even though you can't see what's going on around you. But that step of changing the way that you talk to yourself is the most important thing that you can do, because that's going to start replacing the program in your brain. That's, people call it reframing. Some of the modalities out there are CBT, cognitive behavior therapies, timeline therapies, things like that, that can help people with significant areas in their life. But the most important thing is, do you traumatize things? Do you catastrophize things? Or do you go, you know what? Okay, I'm not going to get the Nobel Prize today. Is that something that you want? That's important to remember. No, I want to be able to connect with people and do this. Then whatever is going to help you get there, yes, maybe MailChimp has something to do with it. Maybe you did spend 3 days on it, but get out of what that MailChimp was to help you get focused on where you're going. So this is how you're talking to yourself. Are you talking to yourself and saying, this small, minuscule piece of sand is the most important thing to me? I have to perfect it? Or is it to move and go forward and keep taking a step forward? I know that sounded a little convoluted. There was a couple of good parts in there, but that's my 2 cents on it.
Thank you so much. You always contribute with so much depth and so much substance. So I want to just acknowledge that, right? Because there's a lot of great nuggets in what you're sharing there. And I think that, first of all, when you said I'm not the best at communicating, I don't know what the best actually looks like. What does it actually look like to be the best at something? Because people have different ways of communicating, and they have different, and people respond to different ways of communicating, right? So the way, you're very kind. You always say, oh, you've got such good words and stuff. But you know what? I don't always connect with people. People don't always connect with me. So how we communicate is more about authenticity, and it's more about how we share ourselves and how that connects with other people than having the right words or having, the best phraseology of how you're putting something. There's all kinds of things that go into having a quote unquote a good conversation. And to me, a good conversation is a conversation where you and the other person have been able to successfully communicate what you wanted to communicate and be able to have a path forward with each other, right? So to me, that's a good conversation. And the words don't really matter. The length of the conversation, not important. What did you say? How did, those things aren't important as long as you were able to understand each other and connect with each other. And that's really the core of having those conversations. So letting go is also related to this idea that you are communicating with yourself, that you're understanding yourself, that you're able to support and empower yourself to get to the path forward, right? So that's a little bit about talking to yourself. Now, when it comes to talking to other people, what you want to do is, I talk about this a lot with my clients. It's about being very clear. So the first thing is you have to be clear in yourself about what you want and about what you would like to happen in the relationship or not happen in the relationship, or if you're choosing to change or exit a relationship, then you need to be really clear about why that's happening, right? And uh, again, in the same way that we're talking about not blaming ourselves, we also don't want to blame the other person, right? Because let's say, as long as you are safe and as long as you have agency in your relationship, we're not talking about situations where there's abusiveness or there's any kind of duress or oppression on someone. Those are different things. But in a relationship or any kind of situation where you have power and you have agency, then, and you want to shift or you want to change that relationship or that situation, then you want to communicate that in a way that is non-blaming, because all it is it doesn't work for you, right? So when you start engaging in, well, you're like this and you do that and you know what? Waste of time. It's a waste of time. I'm not saying that you can't say what you feel. Say what you feel, but take responsibility for how you feel. I don't like the way you talk to me. I don't like that you're not around when I call you. I don't like that, that you don't go out with me to different places. I don't like that I'm your second choice. I don't like that we don't spend enough time together. I don't like that you don't understand where I'm coming from and you don't make any effort to understand where I'm coming from. That's the way, that's how you want to articulate it, because it's at the end of the day, that behavior could be acceptable to somebody else, right? And unfortunately, it is. But what you want to do is take responsibility for yourself and say, this is how I feel and what doesn't work for me,
Yeah.
right? And if you're in a place where you want to change the dynamic, you can add on to that. What can we do to change this? What is there something you want to offer me? Now I'm telling you what I don't want. How are you responding to this, right? And there is it's a very clear thing. A lot of people feel like, well, I don't want to say something, I don't want to hurt their feelings,
Mm.
but you know what, being direct is
Mm.
actually being kind.
Mm.
When you're direct, you're being kind because you're not creating confusion, you're not dancing around the issue. You're talking to someone and you're telling them exactly what the issue is, and you're giving them an opportunity to weigh in and to share what they can do to fix it. Or you're being really direct about what you don't like and telling them, this is why I can't be here anymore, right? Gwen, tell me your thoughts. How
Oh,
does that sound to you?
love it. So I love the fact that again, it makes it I conversation instead of you conversation. And even to
Mhm.
make it a little bit more powerful, because this is what I talk about to people that are, it doesn't matter what the relationship is. It can be siblings, it can be friends, it can be lovers. It doesn't matter. Spouses, is that what is it that you need in a relationship? That has to come first. That's the clarity that you're talking about. And
Yep.
especially when if you're looking at letting go, say, because I know this is one of the phrases from my past, is how can I be a starring player in my own life if I'm a bit player in yours? And this was to a person that I was living with at the time. And it does affect you. If you're not co-stars in your relationship, no matter, as you said, no matter how long the conversation is, no matter how many years, how many minutes, are you both co-stars? Do you both have the same billing on the marquee, or are you meant to be a subservient? And again, let's be perfectly clear. There's times in life where we all take a different place. Not every single relationship is 50-50 all of the time. But when it comes down to, the difference is, I need this. I need to feel validated. And I don't
Yeah.
feel that here. I need to have time alone with you. And we don't have that. So even, right now, it's not what this is not what I need. It is a lot more empowering. And the one thing that I love about the fact about being honest with people is that if we do not tell people exactly what we want, because how many times have we also been in conversations with people we care about, and they say to us, oh, you do this and this and this. And the
Yep.
thing is, maybe the delivery is not the most important, but the intention matters. And if we care about people, because we all try to be the best communicators possible. And some, again, there's a bell curve. There's people in the middle that are just competent. There's nothing wrong with that, but not everybody is a great communicator. But when
That's
we
right.
tell people in no uncertain terms, this is what I need, and I'm hoping I can get it with you, that allows them to, raise the bar on themselves and saying, is this something I want to do? And I'm really
Yeah.
hoping somebody's going to give me care about me enough to say, hey, I know you can do better than that.
Yeah.
And this isn't a judgment thing. This is about, hey, I need a partner that validates me. I need a partner. I need a friend that I can actually talk to in those deep and meaningfuls. If you don't want that kind of friendship, then it's not a problem. You don't have to talk about it. But if you do go to some sort of relationship and you're not getting what you need back, there will be a hole. You will feel like you're getting ripped off. And it's really important to be honest so that we can all raise the bar on our own behavior and on our own activities. So I love that part. Aisha, like it gives us all an area to grow, right?
100%. Yeah.
And give us, the one thing about a lot of kids, parents go through this hardship, so they want to do everything so the kids don't have to do anything at all. Well, that doesn't help you if you don't have to make a choice about who it is you need to show up as, right?
Yep. Yep.
That's my
Yeah.
thing, especially letting go. It's like it's not about letting go of the person, it's even letting go of the situation as it is. No matter what's going on, something needs to change here. We don't know what it is,
Yep.
but we're going to let go of whatever dynamic we were doing. But to move into something new, you have to own it, say, what are we going to do with it? And then you can move forward. And it's
Absolutely.
how we talk to each other. Love it.
Yeah. No, I love it. And I love also what you just said about owning it and about recognizing that when you're letting go of a situation, sometimes what you realize is that in order to let go of the situation, you have to let go of who you are in that situation.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And who you are in that situation may be different than who you are everywhere else in your life, or even how you feel about yourself in your own head. You might feel like, oh, I work well with people, I'm very competent, I can get through this, I can do that. But then when you examine your relationship and how you're in that relationship, maybe you don't say what you need, just like Wanda was saying. Maybe you don't say what you need, maybe you don't listen to other people, maybe you make assumptions about what you think they should know and do for you without you articulating anything, right? And maybe you're also not meeting their needs. Maybe there is some of that, because there is always back and forth in a relationship. As long as you have safety and you have agency, there's always ups and downs, there's always things that are happening in relationships, right? And from the cards, the things are about being honest. To just pick up on what Gwen was saying as well, is one is to be direct. So today I will own my own power and be direct. I will be clear and honest in my dealings with other people. If I'm comfortable with my own truth, then those around me will be comfortable with me too. That's really powerful. If I'm comfortable with my own truth, then those around me will be comfortable too. And that's really important, because if you're not comfortable telling yourself the truth, there's no way that you're going to be able to say anything to anybody else, right? And letting go, forget it. If you're not willing to talk to yourself about letting go, you're not going to be able to talk to anybody else about letting go. The other thing is, you you know and that comes with this card, which is communicating clearly. Okay. Today I will communicate clearly and directly in my conversations with others. I will strive to avoid manipulative, indirect, and guilt producing statements. So sometimes when you're trying to figure out what's happening, and this goes back to not blaming people in relationships, it's it, if you if you're looking for change in the relationship, in any kind of engagement, when you position it as a threat, and when the other side of the threat is, I'm leaving, I can't take this,
Mm,
I'm going, blah, 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 then that's manipulation,
mm,
right? And that's guilt inducing.
mhm.
And even if you get that change for a little while, it's not something that's going to last, and it's going to produce resentment in the other person. So if you're not having a conversation, if you're issuing an ultimatum, if you're dictating the kind of behavior, but you're not open to having a conversation about what would be a better relationship for both of you, then the whole idea of having that conversation is moot, because you're just producing more and more of the same, which is unhappiness,
Mhm.
lack of honesty, uh, feelings of unhappiness in the relationship for you and the other person. And if you don't want that, then it's really important to communicate clearly without blame, without pressure, without manipulation, without guilt, not just on the other person, but on yourself also,
Mhm.
right? Then you're going to get better results. You're going to be happier with the result because it'll come from an authentic place. It'll be implemented with authenticity. It'll last longer, right? And that's very important. I can be tactful and gentle or assertive if necessary. I do what is right in the moment. And I don't like the word right, but I'm going to say I'm going to do what makes sense for me in the
Right.
moment, right?
What is right for me, right?
What is right for me. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I love
exactly.
that. And that's I think the other thing that's really interesting, just because I'm the emotional gal, uh, or the emotions, is that if you do not feel safe, and this is a little chakra talk. So say you are going to have that conversation. Again, don't threaten relationships. Like, and this is friendships, siblings, it doesn't matter. Any relationship that you have, if your threat is, I'm going to take my ball and go home, you're going to reach a time where somebody's going to go, leave. So that's one part, and that's the whole thing about manipulation. If you come from manipulation, it might take you longer to really click into that. The other part is, for instance, if you're going to speak your truth and you feel like a tightness in your throat, or you feel like you can't, like you're scared, this is something that can indicate that there's a past trauma or unresolved grief from some other past experience that's getting in the way of what you're doing right now. And that's what we're talking about, the emotional, like last week, is that we need to be aware enough about our body and how it reacts and reacts or responds, so that we can actually tell, oh, is there something in there that's actually wanting to come out? And I know in my experience, actually, I had this man who brought out this stuff in me. It was fabulous, but I felt like I was getting choked, and it was from the past. But because of that, I literally could not speak my truth to him. It was the most
Right.
bizarre experience. But this is the subtlety about how our body talks to us, because the body keeps score. And if there's something, this is where you need to be able to get in and start cleaning out the emotional bandwidth, and start dealing with the emotional. And this again starts with the honesty of the conversation with ourselves and the
Yep.
conversations that we're having with others. That's my 2 cents.
Absolutely. No, I love that. And just speaking to that, this card is about releasing fear.
Yeah.
And the card is, today I will ask my higher power to help me let go of my need to be afraid. I welcome peace, trust, acceptance, and safety into my life. So that's the affirmation. I welcome peace, trust, acceptance, and safety into my life. I will make a point of listening to my healthy, rational fears and will relinquish all others. And sometimes you need to explore, just like Wenda was saying, you need to explore, where is this coming from? Does this belong here in this place right now, in this relationship, or is it coming from somewhere else? And sometimes you can't do that by yourself. Sometimes you need help. You need to reach out to a professional, maybe a coach like myself or Gwenda. You need to reach out to somebody who can help you walk through that and figure it out for yourself. Now, we're not here to provide solutions. What we do is we support you to build your own solutions so that you understand for yourself what works for you, what doesn't work for you, what's your truth, what's your fear, what are the real fears, what are the fears that belong somewhere else. So we help you navigate those kinds of situations so that you can move through things easier and with confidence and with faith and assurance that you're going to be able to get through it and that you're going to be okay, because ultimately you are going to be okay. You are going to be able to get through it, right?
Absolutely. I mean, again, and just keep that visual of the butterfly. If you want to fly, you need to go through that discomfort of not knowing everything and not even knowing what you look like to others. That's the other
Yeah.
part, right? Is
Yeah.
that when we're trying on a new suit, so to speak, sometimes it's hard for us to use our voice when we're just getting to, it's like, whoa, where did that come from? So So you have to be able to go, yeah, that's my voice, and I'm okay with using that. And so that's also a process, depending on, depending on where you are in your life. Maybe you have that from the time you're 5, and you keep that through society's pressures and family traumas and whatever else goes on. And sometimes it takes you later in life, because it's like, hey man, enough about doing stuff for other people. How can I let my own light shine? But more importantly, what's 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 in me that's stopping me? Because you can't really control anything else or anybody else. If you want to sing, sing. Like, just sing. But first you got to find your voice.
Exactly.
That was a good
100%.
thing, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. It was good. Always good, my dear. Always,
Well,
always good.
it's been
One
a
thing,
week. Yeah.
one thing I just wanted to end on was the importance of having quiet space. You may not be, I was never a meditator.
Yeah.
And then I did the intentional communication course with Cynthia Kane. And Cynthia, her method showed me the importance of meditation. And now I can't do without meditation. It's like now every day I need to meditate first thing in the morning. And then before I go to sleep, I do a meditation. And it's really important to give yourself that quiet space. And you don't have to, and when I say meditation, I'm not talking about sitting for an hour and chanting. What I'm talking about is you can have a guided meditation if you're somebody who's got a monkey mind like me and you're always thinking, right? And to let go of the perfection of, oh, I have to be perfectly still and I have to clear all my thoughts. That's not reality. Your mind is going to keep going, and you develop a practice and a discipline on how to meditate and how to take care of yourself. And and then what happens is that as you quiet yourself, first of all, that fear response that Glenda's talking about, that sympathetic nervous system response, that high energy fight, flight, or fear, or freeze
Yeah.
response, that that dissipates. It allows you to think clearly. It allows you to get grounded. It allows you to see things with a greater perspective and depth. It allows you to make better decisions. It gives you more relaxation. It gives you calmness. It helps you to really integrate with your whole self so that you can make good choices and good decisions for yourself. And if meditation is something that you're not ready for, even a practice of breathing
Mm-hmm.
is something that's super helpful. If we have a couple of minutes, I want to share with you a breathing practice that I just learned actually this week. And so what do you think, Gwen? You want to do it
Yeah.
with me?
Sure. Let's do it.
Okay. All right. So those of you out there, Gwen, all right, we're going to just take a second. Just be comfortable where you are. Just relax, let your shoulders down. If you wish, if you're comfortable, you can close your eyes. Okay. We're going to do a little bit of a grounding meditation. Okay. So take a moment. Just feel your seat underneath you. Anything that you can hear in the environment, just take a little listen to it. Okay. Find yourself where you are. All right. We're going to do a breath in for 3. So breathe in. 1, 2, 3. Hold for 2. 1, 2. Breathe out for 5. At the end of the breath, I want you to repeat after me. In this moment, I have everything I need. I am well. I am peaceful. Breathe in for 3. Hold for 2. Breathe out for 5. Repeat after me. In this moment, I have everything I need. I am well. I am peaceful. And one last time. Breathe in for 3. Hold for 2. And breathe out for 5. And repeat after me. In this moment, I have everything I need. I am well. I am peaceful. Just take a second to get back to your regular breath. Feel the relaxation in your shoulders, in your arms, in your lower back, in your bum, your legs, feet. Just breathe naturally and come back to the present moment and open your eyes. How is that?
Oh, I'm ready for a nap. Yeah.
There you go.
And the
So-
great thing about taking the breath in and the breath out is that your lungs come down to your abdomen. So if you've never done work like that, even the end of it, that's why it's like when you exhale for 5, you're actually pushing out all the stale breath that might be down there. And that's also a really strong core workout. So
That's right.
again,
Yeah.
The yoga, the purpose for yoga and all that stuff is so that we can meditate and so that we can show our muscles or have our body be the temple that it needs to for the breath. So that was
Yeah,
good.
exactly.
And the whole, I have everything I need,
I love that. I just was like, when I heard it, it's such a simple thing. It's basically how to experience well-being with a 30-second affirmation. Like this is, you're talking about a minute or 30 seconds of just doing this very short and very easy breath exercise. And I've done it a couple of times over the last few days, and I instantly feel better. So it doesn't matter what level of anxiety I have or what I'm thinking about or what's happening. I just feel like, oh, I have everything I need. I'm well, right? And I don't have everything I need, or I feel like I don't have everything I need, and I may be feeling unwell. But what this does is it reminds me that the things that I want and need for myself that perhaps are not visible or available to me in the form that I want them in now are still present and still accessible. And all I have to do is find my path to them.
Yeah.
And that's what I find helpful about that.
Well, and the great part too is that you do have everything you need. You literally have breath. That is everything you need.
There you go.
That is everything that you need. Yes, we need water. But it's really, breath is the one thing that we need. And that's the whole thing about mindfulness is it's really about being able to focus on the right syllable, right?
Yeah.
It's how we use the words to support what we're looking at in the present, what we can observe in the present, which is what's going to take us places in the future.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And it's not an easy mindset shift to actually make, because we're very consumer oriented, we're very results oriented. And so when we're in that place, this is again where the self-talk kicks in. I don't have it. I'm not going to have it. I'm still in this, and it's about hearing yourself say, I do have everything I need. I am well. I am safe. I am at peace. And you don't have to use those exact words. You can use whatever words are true for you and are resonant for you. Right? The idea is to help you manage that stress and to be able to bring it down. So whether you're letting go, whether you're creating, co-creating, whether you're trying something new, whether you're, trying to learn something, It's about how do you best facilitate that to yourself through the language you use when you're speaking to yourself. And then once you're clear on that, how do you convey that to other people?
And then it's easier also because when you are speaking your truth and you're coming from a place of being comfortable in your skin, then it comes across, it doesn't come across as a threat or a, you know, or a manipulation or anything. You can say the same words, but the different intention gives it the different vibration, as people talk about, right? Like
That's right. Yeah.
it's so
Yeah.
it's basically this isn't what I need. And
Yeah.
again, that's about you making a statement. And the thing is that Crazy Rich Asians, I don't know if you saw that movie. Love that
No.
movie. But there's one part where the sister is breaking up with her husband, and the dynamic that they had before that was all this. She would always suck up to him thinking she was doing something wrong. And at this point, so he starts doing the language, okay, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And she just turns and she goes, no, you're not. This is what's happening. And make no mistake, this is your role in what you've created now. So don't put that on me. And so it's important to be able to take responsibility for our own actions, for our own thoughts, and for what has led to us being there. But it's also important to leave responsibility for other people at their feet. And that's
right.
Getting back to that part about being honest, is that if we're in a relationship with somebody who's not being honest with themselves, then they're never going to hear what we have to say. Or they might fluff it over, or they might manipulate it. But when you get to the place where it's like, no, it matters to me. And so that's where letting go. It's also letting go of that person, as you said, that you were before, who would have put up with that, because your outcome, your intention was different. You wanted to be in a relationship. You wanted, instead of what's the quality of the relationship, right?
Yeah, that's it exactly. And going to the question that was asked in the comments last time, which is how do we let go of other people's interactions of their energy? That's exactly what we've been talking about through this whole segment, which is to be very clear in yourself about what do you want and what do you not want, and then to be able to clearly articulate that. Sometimes it's going to be about setting down boundaries. And it's also like Gwenda was just saying about the movie, if you're setting down a boundary that is not a clear boundary and that you don't reinforce, then you're not going to have anything change, right? So you need to be able to say, you know what, this is not a conversation that I want to have, or this kind of conversation is not something that I want to continue having. I'd like for us to be able to do this differently. Are you willing to work with me on it? Things like this, like you want to be able to very clearly articulate that this is something that you are not going to engage in the future. How do you clear that energy? How do you walk away from that situation? Those are things that you want to, those are skills you want to develop in yourself so that you can do that and be able to have the confidence to be able to do that with ease and to be able to maintain what you're saying. So we're going to talk in a minute about Gwen's offering and my offering. Mine is based in empower your voice and embrace your choice. And that means you don't back down. When you know something is not right for you, you don't get wishy-washy. You don't dance around it. You say it, you're clear about it, you put down a boundary, you reinforce it. And if people continue to do it, you have to decide what that consequence is going to be. And then in the meantime, you also do things like meditation and breath work to keep your own energy clear so that whenever something comes up, you can engage it from the most authentic place for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, and we have again, the interesting thing with the grief work that I do, the grief recovery method, is that it really blows my mind how much of our inability, my inability, like in my particular experience, my inability to speak my truth came from, something that happened when I was like 5 years old. And I know that people talk about self-limiting beliefs, limiting beliefs. And if we're conscious of them, that's easy. I can tell you that unresolved grief and unacknowledged trauma is what blocks our emotional expression. It blocks how our heart is open to what's going on. And that's one of the things is I want to be able to normalize the conversation around grief and this is really about holding space and teaching us, because I do a group session, because we all grieve. We are all in, right now, even with everything that's going on in the world, we're all grieving right now because there's stuff that we can't control. Well, if there's fear, we need to be able to get to where that fear is, right? So, but anyways, so the grief recovery method is a toolkit. It's not therapy, although it's therapeutic. It is not counseling. We're not going to be here for talk therapy where you talk for, the whole time. We actually work on completing relationships in our life, because those past relationships are what keep showing up in our present. Because until we can acknowledge what our heart has to say, when we let our heart tell the story, and then the other side of it is making sure that the words that we're using, the way we speak to ourselves, the way we communicate and finding our voice, that's both those sides are two sides of the same that allow us to stand still in our skin, to stand still in our space and know that we are enough and that we have every right to be here, as do all of us. And then our communications can be more about the concepts and the ideals, not even ideals, concepts, things that are not emotionally charged about, maybe because we're coming from a fearful space. So it's really important that we invest in ourselves to say, well, I want to pick out this perfect color from my living room, and that can take you 3 months. And instead of saying, okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do an hour or two, a couple hours a week for 8 weeks. And I'm going to learn how to complete the relationships that I've had in my life, living or past, if they're living or they've died, because grief is not just about life and death. Like it's about any kind of emotional loss that we do not give a voice to. So that's how both of us, and you'll be able to see, we've really gone chatting on today, haven't we? So we're almost at an hour, but you'll have links to this. And again, next week, we're going to be doing our live coaching. So if people are interested in coming live, or if there's just a topic, like a Dear Ann letter, if you want to send in, like, here's the situation, and then we can actually review what kind of situation would be going on there and how we would look at it from both sides. So
That's
Aisha,
right.
final
comment. Thank you, Gwen. I think like you said, we've gone on quite a bit here today because it's such a meaty topic and there's so much to talk about, and we've really only just skimmed over the surface of it. But Gwen's got the grief recovery program. I have the empowered expression program as well. It's a 16-week coaching program where I walk you through your empowered expression blueprint. We look at the challenges that you're facing. We look at what's happening in your life, what you want, where you want to go. And we give you the language skills to be able to articulate that and make that happen for yourself, from a self-talk perspective to interacting with people and situations in a way that really serves your goals. So I'll be posting things throughout the week. Gwenda will be as well. You can check out my website, which is intentionallydesignyourlife.com. I have a webinar coming up at the end of the month. I'll be posting about that as well. So if you're interested, you can check that out. It's called 5 Things You're Saying That Are Sabotaging Your Outcomes. And that's going to be a really fun and insightful interactive webinar. If anyone is interested in that, I'll be posting the link for that this week as well. So yes, we will be posting this video on the Intentionally Design Your Life and Just Talking YouTube channels. And obviously we'll be here on Facebook. If you want to revisit it, ask us any questions, we're happy to answer it. For the person who asked the question about how to deal with other people's energy and how to let that go. Let us know if we answered your question and if you have any follow-up questions, because we'll definitely respond to that. And next week is the last week of the month. We're going to talk about the practice of letting go.
Exactly. Yay. Okay. So this has been great. Thank you, Aisha. Thank you, everybody. And
Thank you, Glenn. Thanks, everyone.
see, it's getting dark already in this part of the world, and we've got lots of snow coming tonight. So I want everybody to be safe. And love
Stay
you,
warm.
Aisha. And we shall see
Love you,
you
babe.
next week. And
Yes.
thank you all for popping by and for watching. We appreciate your being here, and drop a line. Let us know what you think, and you'll see our 2 signups underneath this video. Okay.
Yep. Take care.
Take care.
Bye.